What if I told you that for centuries, the most common understanding of demons had nothing to do with fallen angels? What if the popular story we all know, the one about a rebellion in heaven's a simplified later version of a much older and frankly, more unsettling tradition? Ancient Jewish texts, particularly the Book of Enoch, paint a very different picture, and once you see it, you can't unsee it. It changes how you read everything, from the Old Testament to the words of Jesus himself. If you're ready to explore a side of theology that's been largely forgotten, make sure you subscribe and hit that notification bell, because this is just the beginning of a much deeper journey. For a long time, the idea I'm about to share was not some fringe theory. It was a widely accepted explanation for the origin of evil spirits on Earth. It was only later, as theological doctrines were streamlined and codified, that this narrative was pushed aside in favor of the more straightforward fallen angels story. But the older version solves a lot of puzzles that the common story creates. It answers questions like, why do demons seem so desperate to inhabit a physical body? Why are they so tied to the earth? And why is their final judgment seemingly delayed until the end of time? The traditional fallen angel story doesn't really give us clean answers to these questions, but the Book of Enoch does. So, let's dive into the text itself. The Book of Enoch, which was widely read and respected by early Jews and Christians, tells the story of the Watchers. These were angels who descended to earth, took human wives, and produced offspring known as the Nephilim. You might remember them from Genesis chapter 6. These Nephilim were giants, hybrids of divine and human nature, and their existence brought immense violence and corruption to the world. They were unnatural, an abomination. When they were eventually destroyed in the Great Flood, their physical bodies perished. But what happened to their spirits? This is where it gets truly fascinating. According to Enoch, their spirits did not ascend to heaven because they were tainted by their earthly, corrupt origins, but they also did not descend into the abyss with the fallen Watchers, their fathers. They were trapped. They remained here, on earth, disembodied, restless, and filled with a burning hostility toward humanity, the race from which their mothers came. The text describes them as evil spirits who will afflict, oppress, destroy, attack, do battle, and work destruction on the earth. They are, in essence, spiritual ghosts of a hybrid race, forever craving the physical existence they once had. This single idea suddenly explains so much. Think about it. Why do demons in the New Testament constantly seek to possess people and even animals, like the swine at Gad? Because they are disembodied spirits. They crave a vessel, a home, a way to interact with the physical world they are bound to. Angels, fallen or otherwise, are complete spiritual beings. They never show a need for a physical body in the same way. They can manifest physically, but they don't seem to have a desperate, parasitic need to inhabit one. The spirits of the Nephilim, however, are incomplete. They are half-human spirits without a human body. Their entire existence is defined by this lack, this hunger. This is their torment, and they project that torment onto humanity. This also clarifies the issue of their judgment. The fallen angels, the Watchers, were immediately bound and cast into a place of darkness to await their final judgment. But the demons, these Nephilim spirits, are allowed to roam the earth until the very end. Why the different treatment? Because they are not the same beings. They are the secondary consequence, the spiritual fallout from that original sin of the Watchers. They are the aftermath of that forbidden union. Their judgment is tied to the final judgment of all humanity because their nature is partly human. They are a lingering plague, a spiritual infection left over from a world that was so corrupt it had to be wiped clean. Now, hold on to that thought, because this is where it connects directly to us, today. After explaining all of this, after laying out this ancient cosmic drama, Jesus says something that should send a chill down your spine. In Matthew 24, when his disciples ask him what the sign of his coming and the end of the age will be, he gives a very specific answer. He says, "As it was in the days of Noah, so it will be at the coming of the Son of Man." We often interpret this as just meaning people were eating, drinking, and being ignorant of their impending doom. But what was the defining characteristic of the days of Noah? It was the corruption of all flesh, brought about by the unnatural union of the divine and the human, the very event that unleashed the Nephilim and their demonic spirits upon the world. So when Jesus says the end will be like the days of Noah, is he just talking about a party lifestyle, or is he pointing to something much deeper? Is he warning that the same spiritual conditions, the same kind of corruption, the same blurring of lines that defined that era will define the final one? The implication is staggering. It suggests that the final conflict won't just be a battle against a singular figure of evil, but a confrontation with the very same ancient forces that plagued the world before the flood. It reframes the entire concept of the end times, tying it directly back to this forgotten origin story of demons. It's not just a new chapter of evil, but the return of the oldest one. This perspective doesn't just change how we view the past, it radically alters how we might see the present and the future. Are we seeing a similar blurring of lines in our own time? A pursuit of forbidden knowledge? A corruption of what it means to be human? These are big questions, and they lead to an even bigger conclusion about where all of this is heading. The story isn't over, and the final chapter connects everything. The Watchers, the Nephilim, their demonic spirit, and the warning from Jesus directly to the world we live in right now. To find out how, and to see the complete picture, you'll want to watch the next video in this series. Thank you so much for watching, don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you in the final chapter.